How you doing? My name is Trevin Rawls. This is for Introduction to African American Studies. I'm a class that I was very passionate about as far as being enrolled into, especially in the climate of today's world. I figured it would behoove me to learn more, about not only my people, but the history of my people, my ancestors and their descendants as well. Yeah, so really my presentation, well, my project is on the Black Panther Party group. A lot of people, really thought that the Black Panthers were, I want to say like a militia group. I mean, in a sense, they kind of were, but they really were formed on the protection, of Black people. As far as the rise in police brutality and killings of Black people and the exploitation of the minority group uh, back in the 60s. So forgive me if you catch me looking down maybe. I just made some big speaking points on which I wanted to you know base the video around. I don't want to just get on here rambling, you know, because that's a good way of talking, but I don't want to my presentation to be unorganized per se. So first off, the origin of the Black Panther Party, it was formed by the two members, Huey Freeman and uh, and Bobby Seale. They actually met at the college that they were going to. It was actually at a rally protesting the blockade of Cuba during the Kennedy era, so to speak. So it was formed because of both of the men's views on on politics and on their community. But it what kind of sparked it was the assassination of Malcolm X and the shooting of a Black teenager, Matthew Johnson, in Oakland. First off, Huey P. Newton. I mean, not Huey P. Newton, but Huey Freeman, born Huey Percy Newton, February 17th, 1942. He was born in Monroe, Louisiana. Um, he had what you would call a hard life, growing up in poverty, and moving from place to place, having run-ins with the law. But it was around high school that he began to take his education seriously, even with the run-ins with the police that he was having. Even after graduating, he was still considered illiterate, so to speak. So after that, he taught himself how to read and write. He pursued his education at Merritt College, and like I said before, that's where he met Bobby Seale at. So getting on to Bobby Seale, he was born Robert George Seale on October 22nd, 1936, in Dallas, Texas. He too grew up in poverty. He joined the Air Force, but got discharged due to a disagreement with his, with the commissioned officer. I don't know what the altercation was actually about, but that was the reason that he got discharged from the Air Force. The meaning of the Black Panther Party. Like I said earlier in the video, a lot of people thought it was just a militia group, but it was actually put in place to protect Black people, to educate them on how to defend themselves, and their goals and their views. Their biggest thing was the 10-point system, which I'm going to summarize from 1 to 10. So I'm not going to quote it, so it won't be considered plagiarism, but I definitely will give credit where credit is due. So for the first one of their 10-point program, it was "We want freedom." The second one was "We want full employment." Third is we want an end to the robbery of our community by the white man. Four is we want decent shelter. Five, we want education for our community that teaches the true meaning of American society, well, the true nature of American society and the true history and present role of our people in, in society, present tense. Six, we want black men to be exempt from military service. Seven, we want immediate end to police brutality and murder of black people, which we'll get into later as far as it being relevant today as well. Eight, we want freedom for all men held in custody, that whether that be, a federal system, the jail, prison, so on and so forth. Nine, we want to be judged by our peer group or people from the black community. And 10, we want land, housing, education, clothing, justice, and peace. So their goals and their views really were something that that was prevalent back in the day, as far as being treated equally and feeling equal in the climate that that was back then. The impact that they had on the community was great. They actually started the free lunch, free food program for underprivileged kids staying in the inner cities and whatnot. They started actually like private health care for people in the community that couldn't obtain it themselves or obtain it by government assistance. They fed a lot of people in the community. They held so to speak soup kitchens or free eatings. I think it was weekly for residents of the community. They protected black people. They taught them how to defend themselves with self-defense classes, and because a lot of people back then, that was after the assassination of Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King had already happened. Oh no, Martin Luther King hadn't already happened yet. Forgive me, but the climate back then, a lot of black people were still getting murdered, by whites, and they just had enough of it. They kind of skewed away from the more peaceful protests and the submissive protests, such as Martin Luther King had done, and a lot of people, outside of the party did not like that. They saw them as being a threat. But after a while, people really get tired of being the oppressed, or being the ones who get punished, for being who they are, not necessarily breaking the law or doing anything wrong. But the Black Panther Party really got, fed up with it, which helped fuel the flame that, that created them. Troubles that they faced from the government. So, Herbert Hoover, he was the first director of the CIA, and he actually called them, the greatest threat to American, to America, basically, to the United States, calling them a terrorist group, called them social Marxists, and the views that they had were dangerous. So they set off a bunch of, they set off a series of events as far as like trying to infiltrate, the Black Panther Party, sending in getting members of the Black Panther Party and kind of converting them or flipping them, so to speak, and becoming informants for the FBI. They caught people who had charges or, that were on their second strike, so to speak, and they threatened them, with time, or hey, if you want to be free, or if you want to, get off of this, then you will give us information or you will work for us. And a lot of people, succumbed to that, which later led to the dismantling of the Black Panther Party. A lot of things, not only FBI, and I said CSI, if I'm not mistaken, about Herbert Hoover. I meant to say he was the first director of the FBI. Herbert Hoover, He he sent people in, infiltrated the system that kind of shook the foundation because distrust, started to build in the group. People began getting tortured and sometimes murdered because they were thought to be criminal informants for the FBI. And not only the FBI intervention helped lead to their dismantle, but disagreements and beef, so to speak, helped helped contribute to the dismantling of their organization. A lot of people within the Black Panther Party began to lose faith. They started to kind of disagree with, was not all, but some started to disagree with, the views or the actions of Huey Newton and Huey Freeman, because he started to, they say he started to, become irrational because of his drug addiction and alcohol abuse and whatnot. So they actually became officially dissolved. Well, they officially dissolved in 1982, and that's after over the course of time, people infiltrating the FBI, wanting to dismantle the party, internal conflicts, and they actually had a even though it was formed in the forgive me, it was formed in 1966. They actually have a profound effect on the community today. The new Black Panther Party, they say that they don't have any association with the former Black Panther Party. They see capitalism, while the Black Panther Party viewed things in the socialism aspect. They see capitalism as the answer, but to me, they honestly still hold some of the views that the Black Panther Party had back in the day, because they want to they base it around Black unity and Black economics and so on and so forth. So that was the aspect, well, that was the viewpoint of the Black Panther Party back in the day, and they actually influenced another. I wouldn't want to say influence, but they kind of paved the way for another group called the NFAC, the Not Effing Around Coalition. They don't really associate themselves with the Black Panther Party, nor do they associate themselves with the Black Lives Matter movement. They call themselves a black militia, do for the protection of Black people and for the counter protest of white supremacists. So they're ready for anything. Honestly, they're ready to fight. I personally don't agree with that. I understand it. Being Black, I definitely understand it, but I think in today's climate, is just everything is crazy. People don't really know how to fix things, and I don't really know if there is a way to fix things just yet. But I really want unity for everybody, regardless of color. And a lot of people say that, oh, we don't see color. I don't see color. We need to be colorblind. No, we do. We don't need to be colorblind. We need to acknowledge everybody's difference, but at the same time, acknowledging our similarities as far as us being human beings existing in the world, period. So that was my presentation on the Black Panther Party organization. They really resonated with me as far as kind of deviating away from the original narrative of being peaceful and being submissive, but because sometimes I feel like that that calls for it, taking a stand and not being quiet or not taking the abuse. Because if people continue to abuse or people continue to physically harm or physically hurt, you know, there has to be a, hey, this is enough at some point. So thank you for listening. And Professor, I hope you liked the video. I'm not a professional, but there you have it. Thank you. Have a good night.